Today's tutorial is actually very short compared to the other ones.
We are going over our geometric relationships, correct?
Yes, so the two things we want to cover today is the design intent panel and also the face relay commands.
Perfect.
Let's get started. Let's do a new part here and get right into it. Here I'm gonna go make a rectangle right here on this plane. F3 to lock, Control H. Let's make this. Click on it, select one of the arrows, extrude, let's make it symmetric. Press Shift to make it symmetric, and I have this feature. So last time I showed you guys how you could edit stuff with the synchronous. It's as easy as just picking a face and just dragging it out. But here you can see that it's basically dragging both sides of my model. Do you guys know why is that?
Because it's symmetric?
Yes, so.
Is it because it's symmetric in accordance to where the plane value is, right there?
Yeah, it was symmetric with respect to this.
Okay, perfect.
So here's the design intent panel, right? I was mentioning that this is one of the things that Solid Edge has that many people may not notice, is that the problem coming from history base is that history base, you're very like dependent on this intents, right? You make sure your sketch is symmetric with respect to that, all that stuff. You do it with the sketch and then you turn it into a 3D part. So you're coming into a program that you can just edit on the fly on the 3D model. People may seem to think sometimes that you have no control over your design intents, but that is not true in Solid Edge. You have full control over your design intents. And here's the panel you can see here. There are all kinds of design intents. They're symmetric. You select the face, it automatically recognizes the other face that is symmetric with respect to the same coordinate system. Same thing with all this stuff. Coplanar. You pick a face, it automatically recognizes all the coplanar face with that face. And it moves them all together in case you do an edit. So if you don't want that to happen, it's pretty simple. You just turn it off. And now if I move this, it just moves to one side. Now, design intent panel is actually very powerful, and you can go ahead and learn more about it just by clicking on the help button right there. And it takes you to a video that basically shows you what the design intent panel is, how to use it, and all these tutorials. So that is that. It's very simple to go and learn more about it. And that's the design intent panel. It's a very powerful tool. Now, the second thing we were going to cover is the face relay commands. So Jason, Sam, let me ask you guys a question. In history-based modeling that you guys come from, if you were to, for example, make two cutouts in your model, right? And you want those two cutouts to have the same width, how would you make sure they have the same width?
Well, generally, you will define each separately like that, right?
Yeah, true. So what you probably have to do is you make sure that the sketches are the same, correct? Basically. Or in other words, you can add 2D geometric relationships to them.
Yeah.
And just to mention that, I think I've already mentioned that otherwise, we do have 2D geometric relationship at sketching level, right? You have all those available. But one of the beauties of Solid Edge is that we're not really dependent on the sketch. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this sketch. Nothing happens to my model, so we don't really care about this sketch. We edit the model on the 3D level basis. So you ask yourself, now you delete your sketch, you make 2 cutouts. How would you make the cutouts the same width? And that's where we have the face relay commands. These are basically kind of similar to geometric relation at 2D level, but in here you can do it on the 3D. So let's go ahead and draw on this. Let's go ahead, draw on here. I'm gonna go ahead and draw on this face, so F3 to lock. I'm gonna go ahead and, let's see, make 1 rectangle here. And make 1 here. I can go ahead and select these 2. And the cutout. So I have 2 cuts, but they're not the same. They're not coplanar. So what you can do is just select, go ahead and just go ahead and pick the coplanar. Look at the prompt bar, it tells you what to do. Click model element to relate. Say I've clicked this face, right click, click that face. Done. Now these 2 faces are coplanar.
That's nice.
And I can go ahead and do the same thing with this other face, right?
Yeah.
So same thing. Now those 2 faces are coplanar. So if I go ahead and move this, see I made it coplanar for the other face, they move together. So that's one of the benefits of solid edge with synchronous technology, is that you don't really have to go back to the sketch, do all these face relay commands on the model level itself on the 3D. And not only that, we have many of them. We have centric, we have tangent. So depending on what you need, you can go ahead and select any of these and just do the face relays on the 3D level. So that was the design intent panel, and that was the face relay commands that basically you can use those to replace the 2D geometric relation on the sketch level in case you don't want to go back to sketch. But as I mentioned again, we have that also available. So if you feel like going back to the sketch, you can go ahead and do so, but it's way easier to do it on the model level basis.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So that's a degree of freedom that you have.
Yeah, that's very powerful, and that's possible only with synchronous technology and solid edge. So I said this was going to be very short, and I meant it. And these were the 2 topics that I was going to cover today. And now I can open up the floor to any questions that you guys may have.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward and pretty easy, right? The design intent panel is very easy to use. All you have to do is uncheck whatever you don't need or check what you need. And synchronize with, consider that design intent. Solid edge should consider that in synchronous edits. So if you're editing something, you're editing the face and you want the other face to now move, for example, and they're symmetric together, you can just go ahead and pick that off. And these are all the edits that are possible with synchronous technology and solid edge.
Understood.
Any other questions here?
I don't think I have any from my end. Do you have any, Sam?
Maybe. What's the different definitions of coplanar and so on? Just in a couple of words, going over them.
So it actually, there are animations on it on what it does, right? Makes the first phase basically, it puts it on the same plane. Go ahead, and you can go ahead and press on it. So what is that line holds, right? Makes the axis of the selected cylinders or holes and rounds coplanar, right? It basically aligns the axis together. So you can go ahead and press on these and it tells you actually what it does. What is the equal does? Equal makes the radius equal. So you have two holes and you put that equal on them, it's gonna make the radius the same. These are very like, this basically explain themselves. And what offset does is that it tells you from a tangent face at a specified distance, it offsets it right there. So
yeah, so they all are pretty much.
Yeah, the definitions are there, and also you click on them, it tells you what to do, right? So I think I clicked the equal, I'm not sure, but, or same radius. It told me to select a radius or a round to start. I mean, obviously here I don't have anything, but so, all right, click the equal or align holes, either one I click, but it basically tells you what to do. Click the cylinder, cones, and rounds to align. I don't have any of those in this model, but if I were to have them, I could go ahead and select it, you know? I can't select anything right now. So you can go ahead and learn about that as well, just by clicking, and some even have animations as far as it shows you what it does, just like some of the commands.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right.